Now that I know that I'm right eye dominant, I'm going to be assembling my SmartSwim to the TYR Velocity goggles for this assembly process. This is a new box pair of TYR goggles. These are my favorites. We make to several different styles of goggles, and there are different techniques, slightly different techniques depending, but generally it's all the same process that you're about to see. So in the TYR goggles, one of the advantages here is they have their logo printed vertically, so we know this is the left eye. This is going to be on our left eye, and we're right eye dominant, so we want our SmartSwim to be assembled on the right eye. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the protective coatings. You could probably do this last. I'm going to do it now because I'm very careful at assembly, because you don't want to get scratches or dings on either of the two faces. And if you follow this instruction, you should be pretty much clear of any scratches on either surface. So the first thing we need to do is determine the fit and the form of the goggles to my face. You will already have done this. You most likely will have been training with your goggles for a few weeks and have broken them in. I would highly recommend that you break in the goggles if they're brand new before you assemble your SmartSwim. That's going to require several weeks, a few weeks of training in the pool or in the open water. So for this demonstration, we're going to assemble them now without the break-in period. So with the goggles ready, and this is our SmartSwim. We're going to also show you today how to put on the floaties. We're going to be using those. And we're also going to need, for this assembly process, you have 5 attachment points on the SmartSwim. There's the back, the 2 battery pack points, you've got the CPU point here, and then you have the display, which has a latch in it here and a hook. One of the bungees will go through this hook and latch onto your goggle in some way. And then there's a front hook, and the nose of the goggle will latch into the front hook as well. So you're going to need these 5 attachment points, which means we need 5 bungees. So here we have the extra large, large, medium, small, and extra small. So for the TYR goggles, I want to have 1, 2, 3 large, and I want to have, and we're going to use 1 medium, and we're going to use 1 extra small bungee. One thing I had to do before assembly is I put the charge port plug in place just to keep it out of the way. Step 1. We're going to put the 2 large and the medium bungees in place on the battery pack and the CPU end. So let's do that now. This is real handy. This is where the grappling tool comes in handy. You might be able to do this without the tool. You might be able to grab the bungee, stretch it over with your hands without using the tool. If you have fingernails, or you can, strong fingers, you can do that. Or if you take the bungee and you do this, it's very handy for allowing you to hook the bungees and pull them around to where you want them to go. So in this case here, you can see I can grab it underneath and hook it and pull it down. So we want one of the large bungees here and the other large bungee we want there. So we'll just do this and get this part of the assembly done. You can do this in any order. This doesn't really matter the order. Now comes the tough one. We want to get the medium bungee down here. But to do that, we're going to thread it on starting here. And already you can see that without this tool, this could get a little challenging. You might be able to do some of this without the tool, but again, the tool just really helps at pulling the bungees around and getting them in place. Okay, so the 3 main bungees are there. They're intact and ready. The next 2 bungees, we're going to put the extra small bungee on the nose piece of the goggle. So to do that, we want to take apart your nose piece on your goggles. You're going to take the extra small bungee and you're going to push it on. You might be able to push it over, you might not. And if you're having trouble, you can again grab the tool, grab the bungee, and away you go. You can see how that works. So that's ready. You're good to go. Now that you have the nose bungee in place, we're going to connect the medium bungee. Is going to go through the center of the TYR goggles here and loop around. I'll show you in a minute, and it's going to hook onto the main hook of the display housing. But before we do that, I want to take the strap off of the goggles so the strap is out of the way. I don't typically use the strap supports that they provide. You can put them back on. I'll leave this guy in place, but typically I don't use them. I'll store them in my kit. And the TYR goggles, the hook in there, and what we want to do is get a real good secure strap to the display. So we're going to thread the medium bungee into the TYR goggles. Get it started like this. You can see we're trying to thread it in there. And again, this is where the tool is handy, because you can push on the bungee like so, and you'll see it fall right through the other side. And this might take you a little bit of work. I'm going to hook the bungee and pull it through, and you're going to see it looks something like this when you're finished. You can see that. I don't know if you can see that if I get in close. Alright, so the goal now is that you're going to have the display slide through that opening and hook back here. So what's going to happen is you're ultimately going to have that loop through here and on the hook to the side of the bungee. We'll get to that later. So now you're ready to connect the strap to the SmartSwim. So what we're going to do is, again, we lay it down in place so we generally know where we want the strap to be. Then what I do is I take the strap and I keep it flat. I want the face of the strap to be facing the inside of the goggle all the way around. So you're going to thread the strap through. I'm going to use a tool. I'm going to hook the bungee and pull it up like this. Again, it's just a lot easier for me, instead of using my fingernails, to try to do this. And you get it generally where you think you want the strap to be. You're going to give yourself enough room so that the loop is always just about where it's going to want to be when you're finished. And again, here, strap the bungee. Notice how it's flat. You always want it flat, you know, on the flat edges of the swim. You don't want the strap to be twisted. If you do have a twist, twist it back. Always working keeping the strap as flat as possible. And you see where we had our bungee. Now what I'm going to do is go underneath. So this is to the top. I'm going to go underneath here, threading the strap back in. And again, we're going to check to make sure that the fit is kind of snug. You can see you're kind of snug there, right? And you're pretty close to the tension you want all the way around. That's what's important here. Try not to touch the display to the goggle face. Keep the faces away from each other as long as possible. And again, I want the strap to be flat all the way around. And now you can see, when we get towards the end, you can see here, you've got the spacing there. You can see the straps are flat going all the way around and coming out the back side. And you can see the other end of the straps ready to be attached to the clip for the goggles on the other end. And this is a right eye dominant. This is in your right eye. You know it's in the right eye because you see the lettering on the goggle. It says TYR facing up. This is your left eye. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, before we attach the goggle, we're going to attach the SmartSwim in the goggle, make the two surfaces together. And this can be a little tricky. You You want to go carefully, but what we're going to do is our goal is to grab this end of the bungee and pull it through the front of the display housing and down onto this strap here. I'll try to demonstrate as I go what's happening. So I'm going to hook the bungee, pull it out, and I'm going to hook it onto the end of the strap. So grab it underneath, take it away, then you want to just carefully bring it over and hook it right here on the front strap. That gives you a starting point. Try not to touch the surfaces together. Then you can see as a starting point, I'm going to slide it through. And again, I'm watching to be very careful to keep the faces from interacting. You can either roll it down with your fingers, or at this point, I cup the goggle in my left hand. I have the tool here, and I'm going to grab the edge. I'm just going to pull the bungee through. So now you see you have the bungee there connected at the back, and it's very secure this way. It can't pop off, slip off, slide off. Everything in here it's not going to let go. That's not going to fall off easily at all. Right? So now all we got to do is mate the two surfaces together one time. You're going to mate them together, get them about where they are, and then you're going to use the grappling tool to pull the bungee over this front notch of the display. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the two surfaces together and hold it with my thumb. You see how I'm doing that now? I'm holding it with my thumb so nothing can move. The two surfaces are now together. They're generally where they're going to be, so there shouldn't be a lot of sliding around here. Then I'm going to take the grappling tool. I'm going to grab onto the bungee, like so, and I'm going to move it or slide it around the hook here. And this is hard to see to show you this, but then we go like this, and then we take the other side of the nose bungee and we slide it back down with the grappling tool. That's what's really handy about the grappling tool, is very quickly you can manipulate the bungees. And that's a very nice tight, that's a very tight fit. The two surfaces are very close. There's very little slop in there. You can tell it's really holding on well. You don't want a lot of slop here. If we use a larger bungee here or here, then it's going to want to slide around. You don't want that. This is a really nice snug fit. That's what you're looking for. And you'll notice you're underneath here and hooked. You don't want to be hooked up here on the nose piece. You want to be hooked down here where you got good solid contact with the goggle. So that's it. And there's the tier assembly on that end. So now, again, you can see the strap comes down and is flat and facing in. There's no twists or bends in the strap. So all we got to do now is connect the strap to our goggle like we normally would. Now, one thing in my travels I have found with the TYR goggles, something that I like to do with the TYR goggles, is that the single two-layered connector here doesn't hold well and over time has a tendency to slip out. So I tie these guys in a knot. I'll put a knot here to keep the strap from self-adjusting and loosening up. But you might have to have a larger strap now, just slightly larger, to get it to fit more effectively over your head. Now there's one more step in all of this that needs to be mentioned here. You'll notice that the straps are below the battery pack. Well, we don't want that. We want the straps on the back of the battery pack up here. And this will help just keep the battery pack stable. So what we're going to do is you're going to slide the straps over the top, like so. And then you're going to slide the back strap up and over the top, like so. So in the end, what you really want is something like this. So notice the straps are on the back, not on the inside of the battery pack. And again, this helps with keeping the battery pack from wobbling around. It has a lot less frictional forces from the water. And there it is. There's your assembly.